Hello, and welcome to the cloister. Praying isn't always easy. In this episode, Father Columba from Glenstal Abbey continues our series on prayer by exploring various difficulties we can encounter in our prayer lives, before going on to offer us some advice on how we can overcome them. To find out more about Glenstal and other monasteries who offer retreats, visit our website at monasticretreats.org. Or if you're an iPhone user, you can download our brand new app from the App Store, where you can find your nearest monastery, explore upcoming events, and join us in daily Lectio Divina readings. We're working hard on also getting the app available on the Google Play Store, and we'll let you know as soon as it is available. As always, may these reflections be a blessing to you in your walk with the Lord.
Sometimes prayer is difficult. There are difficulties in prayer. And so what I'd like to do in these few minutes is to point out some classic difficulties that we often may have and to suggest some helpful ways of thinking about those and perhaps finding a remedy. Sometimes prayer is boring. And I suppose it's a good idea just to remember that when we're with our friends, sometimes we're bored as well. When we're with our family, we can be bored. We can be bored at work. So boredom is actually part of life. Another issue is, I suppose, the more we hand our lives over to God, the more our lives will really turn into an adventure. And so life is likely to get less boring, and so will our prayer. And sometimes it's just a matter of being tired. So maybe the thing to do is to express to God that you are tired or bored, and to make that your offering. Be your small gift to God. God loves every part of you, including your tiredness and your boredom. Sometimes we're distracted in prayer. And that means, I suppose, if we're to be very honest, that the love of God really hasn't quite overwhelmed us yet. That there are other things that we actually find more interesting and more attractive than God. And they keep coming back to us. So there's a measure of honesty when you find yourself distracted. All the experts say the one thing we should try to avoid is when we notice we're distracted is don't beat yourself up about it. Getting angry and getting annoyed and getting all het up because I'm distracted yet once more only adds more distracting energy into the pot when you're praying. So they all say, when you're distracted, be very gentle, turning back to God. If distractions persist, if it's some particular issue that keeps on coming back into your mind, a good way of dealing with that is to speak to God about the distraction. Turn your distraction into a prayer. If there's something that's really on your mind, it's important to you, and God likes us to share everything that is important to us. And if we share what's important to us with God, we will find sooner or later God will return the gesture. Another issue for many of us could be that we find no connection with God in our prayer at times. And there could be various reasons for that. Sometimes it's that there's something in the way you're living your life which is actually contradicting your prayer. Let's take an obvious example from ordinary human living. A man kisses his wife and says, I love you. But he's also cheating on her. So there's no connection going on when he kisses and says, I love you. That's a rather extreme example. But something slightly similar can be happening in our lives where our lives are actually not in harmony with what we're actually saying or thinking or trying to say or think in our prayer. Our lives obviously will always fall short of the ideal. So I think there's no need to get het up and anxiously dig for dirt in your life if you feel no connection with God. It's just that sometimes there's something rather obvious that needs to be put right. Another reason why we sometimes feel no connection with God is that we're actually holding ourselves back from God in prayer. Sometimes we instinctively censor the more painful aspects of our lives and we don't express them to God. So maybe I'm disappointed with God or afraid of God or angry with God, or maybe I don't trust God. And maybe my prayer is to actually say that and to express it and to be real with God. Because if I'm holding back myself from God, then of course the connection is going to be pretty weak. So sometimes we are the ones who are being distant from God because we're actually censoring who we are. And you just have to look at the book of Psalms to see so many different expressions, not just of the nice, lovey-dovey, pious things, but all the painful, squalid aspects of human life are expressed there too. It could also be sometimes God feels very distant and we have no connection. It's because actually God is working very carefully with us and is actually bringing us to a new and deeper level of prayer. Yes, that maybe the more superficial feelings of connection have gone now, and God is weaning us onto something deeper, and so our prayer may be eventually moving into something much more quiet, and so I think that's also another possibility, that God is in some way purifying you and helping you to let go of some of the more superficial ways of praying. So I think all in all, the thing is in prayer, be yourself, be straightforward. Even simply putting in the time, making yourself available to God in prayer, even if it's dry and disappointing, is still a gift to God, which delights God, and God will repay 100-fold sooner or later. There is one big piece of fake news that keeps on getting in our way in all of this, and that's the idea that God is not with us. So if there's one idea maybe to always have at the back of our minds, particularly when prayer is difficult, is that God is always with us, and even more intensely so when we give time to prayer, whether we feel that presence or not.
Thank you for listening to The Cloister. New episodes are released fortnightly, and we hope that you will join us again soon. God bless.